Okay, so today we are going to talk to you guys about a new cue on bench press that we have not talked about before. So we've talked to you guys about what your shoulders should be doing when you bench press and what your legs should be doing when you bench press. If you have not seen either of those videos, I'll link them below. But the obvious fact is that your shoulders should be doing what they're supposed to do, and your legs are supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, all at the same time, right? So those things essentially hold during the set. They shouldn't really move. And that brings us to the cue that we're going to talk about today, which is basically that the main objective in the bench press, other than obviously pressing the bar up, is to stay as still as you possibly can. So not allowing your shoulders to move out of the position that you set them in once the bar is unracked. And the same is true for your feet. Your feet should stay in the same position before the bar is unracked and not move throughout your set at all. Okay? Now the reason that is because you're always going to be able to get in a better position when you don't have any weight on you versus once you've accepted the weight, especially the heavier that the weight gets. If the weight is very, very light, you might find that you can still squirm around underneath it and get in an okay position, but when it comes to moving very heavy weights, you're not going to be able to do that. You need to set your position and really like the position that you're in before the bar comes out of the rack, otherwise you're going to be kind of screwed as far as your tightness goes. You can squeeze up while you have the weight on top of you, but it's never going to be as much as you could have before you accepted some of the weight on you. And we're going to show you a few different ways that you can move around during your set, things that you should try to avoid moving when you're in the bench press, and Alex is going to demonstrate those. So the first thing he's going to demonstrate is bringing the bar out of the rack before he's set his shoulders and his feet. So he's going to let the bar come out of the rack, and once it comes out of the rack, then he's going to set his shoulders and his feet. You'll see that a lot. People will try to take their position once the bar is already out of the rack, and go ahead and rack it so we can compare that position with what it would look like if he would have set it before the bar comes out of the rack. So the correct thing to do is to get everything set, and then he can just take it out of the rack and go right ahead and bench press. So he doesn't have to mess with anything before he starts his set, okay? It's probably not going to be a huge difference with the empty bar, but you might notice that he's just a little bit tighter, a little bit bigger arch, a little better foot position in this video, or in this position than he was in the original one. So go ahead and rack the bar. And the next one we're going to talk about is people moving their shoulder blades between reps. So in this example, he's going to do a good job of getting himself set as he takes the bar out of the rack, but after his first rep, he's going to lose the position in his shoulder blades. So just like we just discussed, everything is getting set, and he's going to bench and then move his shoulder blades at the top. So you see that protraction when you push the shoulder blades away from each other at the top. So go ahead and do that again. Everything is set. And press. Yeah, exactly like that. So you see that he had to actually reset by re-squeezing his shoulder blades, which caused him to move on the bench as he did so. So the more advantageous thing to do would be able to keep the shoulder blades in the exact place that they were to begin with. Now, the other more common thing that you'll see is you'll see people move their feet in between bench press reps. So he's going to do a rep, kind of jiggle his feet around, do another rep, move his feet around, all of that stuff. And usually that's because the person wasn't tight to begin with and they're trying to find the best position for their feet. If you're able to move your feet, you can pretty much rest assured that they weren't in the right position to begin with, okay? You can go ahead and rack the bar. The last thing that we can talk about is how you breathe with the bench press, and you can also apply this to your overhead press to some degree as well. Every time that you breathe, your shoulders move a little bit, your feet slide a little bit. Even if it's very, very small, that's very likely to happen. So it's actually advantageous on the bench press and on the press as well to hold your breath for as many reps as you can. If you can hold it for your whole set, great. If you can hold it for half of your set, take a breath, hold it for the other half, fine. But you are going to be in a better position if you just don't breathe. You just kind of bounce your reps out. So he's going to demonstrate that. He's going to get in a nice position, take the bar out, and then you'll notice that it's easier for him to keep his shoulders in position when he doesn't breathe. So he's just going to go through his reps, no breath in between. He still pauses at the top for just a second, so it's not like you have to do a touch and go from the top necessarily, but no breath in between the reps, okay? This is also advantageous in the bench press and the press because the longer that you hold the weight in your hands, the more fatigued you're going to get. You could actually save yourself some fatigue if you shave a few seconds off of your set by not breathing in between reps, okay? So that's all that we have for you today. Make sure that you stay still during your bench press. You're going to try not to move around as much as possible. As soon as the bar is out of the rack, that's the position that you're in. You're cemented to it. And so make sure that you get yourself tight before the bar comes out.